Hello, hello, and welcome once again to Inner Visions. And I know you have missed us, but I tell you, this is so special being on the air today. I feel very privileged that I almost feel like I'm in the presence of royalty here, that we have a special guest with us on today, and particularly in light of the coming election in November. And everyone, there have been so many questions, there have been so many misstatements. I said, we have to make sure we get the truth out there, make sure people have the facts, and they can make their own decision. But where do we go to get the facts, to get the real truth? We have with us on today the city clerk of the city of Grand Rapids, and I feel very blessed because she's the first African-American city clerk in the history of Grand Rapids. She is the Dr. Lauri Parks.
Thank you, Reverend Dean.
How are you?
I'm doing well, thanks.
I'm so privileged. I mean, wow. I think this is about the first time that I've been able to interview you in your official capacity.
I think you're right. It's a pleasure to be here today.
Wow. Well, now, as I said, the election's coming up, which will be November the
6th.
November the 6th. All right. And a lot of issues that will be on the ballot. A lot of misconceptions about persons being able to vote or not being able to vote. Voter ID, that's being bandied about quite a bit. And so what would you be saying to the persons about that?
Well, we certainly have a lot of things to talk about and things to, try to clear up. There is a lot of discussion this year about the whole voter ID question. However, in Michigan, we've had the voter ID law since 2006. So we've had it for a while. So we're hearing a lot about it on a national basis because other states are looking at this law, and their laws may be written a little bit different than ours have been in Michigan. In Michigan, we do have the voter ID requirement, and voters are all asked to show some sort of photo ID when they go to the polls. Everyone will be asked. However, if you do not have your ID on you, if you forget it, you left it in the car, we have an opportunity in Michigan that you can turn the application to vote over and sign an affidavit stating that, by affidavit you are attesting that you are who you are. And so I'm not sure what the other states are proposing in their voter ID laws, but there may be, in some states, they may not have that opportunity to sign an affidavit. So I think we're fortunate in Michigan that we do have that opportunity, and so hopefully folks do not find themselves in a position where they feel like they cannot go vote because they don't have their ID on them, or they forgot it at home, and so they think they can't vote on that day. Okay,
and I know I've had occasion where I did not bring my ID inside, and oh, that's right, it's in the car. But like I said, being able to turn that over and just sign, that's all you're doing is attesting that I am who I say that I am.
Correct. That's correct. That's what you're doing when you sign the affidavit. And the election workers are trained to allow you to do that. So if you say, oh, I forgot my ID in the car, or I left it at home, they would give you the option of signing that affidavit. Now, if you have your ID on you, we ask that you please show it. Don't try to get in some sort of debate with the election workers on election day as to whether or not you agree with the voter ID requirement. If you have it on you, you have to show them, okay? Because if you don't show it to them, they would tell you that they're not going to be able to give you a ballot. If you don't have it, you can sign the affidavit. However, if you do have it on you, you do need to show that to them. They are working as election workers for that one day. So on this election, there's going to be a lot of folks voting. So, if we can just be prepared, and if you have that driver's license or state ID, or you have your high school ID, if you are a high school student voting for the first time, you can bring your high school ID as your photo ID, or your college ID. So there's a variety of photo identifications that you could use on Election Day. So just go ahead and bring those, or bring one of them, and be able to show that ID on Election Day, and it helps the line move faster. You don't have to take the time to then turn your application over and sign another part. So if you do have an ID, we just ask that you remember and plan to bring it with you on Election Day, and go ahead and show that. We show our IDs in a variety of places throughout town to do business, but if you don't have an ID, you do have the option of using the affidavit.
So it definitely should not be a deterrent.
It should not be a deterrent.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Well, now, you consolidated some of the precincts here in Grand Rapids.
Yeah. We've done that. Some of that was to, transform government. We're all being asked to do more with less, and so one of the things that I had to do as the election administrator in the city of Grand Rapids is see how we can administer our elections a little bit more efficiently. And I tried to do so in a very thoughtful way, and mindful of the fact that we don't want our precincts too large. But yet again, some of our precincts were on the smaller side, and so it made better sense for us to combine or consolidate some of our precincts together so we could create some efficiencies with the number of workers that we hire, the number of election materials that we have to purchase to run our elections, equipment that we have to maintain. And so we did consolidate. In 2008, we had 100 precincts in Grand Rapids.
Right. Now we have 77.
We have 77 now. We reduced down to 83 in 2010.
Right.
But we've reduced a little bit more, tightened that belt a little bit more, down to 77. So in June of this year, end of June, early July, we mailed out new voter ID cards to every registered voter in the city of Grand Rapids. So you should, if you live in the city of Grand Rapids, you should have gotten a new voter identification card as part of our reapportionment process. If you did not get one, you're going to want to contact, either if you live in Grand Rapids, contact my office so we can find out what's going on with your voter registration status. That voter ID card may have been returned to us in the mail, undeliverable, a change of address may have happened. Sometimes we move and we forget to change our address, and so when we mailed that voter ID card out, you may have moved, and so it comes back to us because election mail cannot be forwarded. Okay. And so we want to make sure that you get your voter registration updated. We have until October the 9th. That's when that's the close of voter registration. Okay. So if you need to change your address, update your voter registration status, or get registered for the first time, we've got until October the 9th, and you need to get that done before that day. We don't want to get a phone call on the 10th or the 11th of October, or get a call the day before the election, panicked because you want to know if you can still register. October 9, everyone, that's the date. It'll be here before we know it. So if you have, if you know folks who are going to be 18 on or before Election Day, they can go and get registered now. And there's a lot of things that they can do to get registered. You can go to the local Secretary of State's office and register to vote. You can come to the city clerk's office, which if you're in Grand Rapids is right here at City Hall. Or if you live in an outlying community, another city or township, you can go to your township clerk's office or your local clerk's office and register. You can also print that application off online and mail it to your local clerk. So there's a lot of ways that you can get registered to vote. There are many organizations out there, nonprofits, that are doing voter registration drives on college campuses. I'll be at Grand Rapids Community College on Wednesday doing some voter registration with the college students. But there are many groups that are out there doing great work, getting folks registered to vote, so we can make sure that no one misses that October 9 deadline. So
no one really has the excuse that I didn't know.
I hope not. I would really hope to have. I would really hope not to have to tell someone it's too late to register and them not being able to vote in this upcoming election. It certainly is as all elections are very important, but you know, certainly when we're voting for our president and many of the other federal offices, it is, you know, very important that we, that everybody takes that opportunity to vote, because our voting rights, we fought real hard to get those. And so every time I go talk to young people, I try to encourage them to make sure that they take that opportunity to vote, because we didn't always have that right.
Exactly.
And the young ladies take that opportunity to vote because we didn't always have that opportunity.
Right.
So, you know, it's something that's near and dear to my heart, and you know, I just want to encourage, you know, those who are eligible to vote. There's only 3 requirements today. You know, years ago you had lots of requirements and hoops to jump through in order to vote or to get registered. Now you only have to be 18 years old on or before Election Day, a U.S. citizen, and a resident of the community in which you're voting for. You don't have to own property. You don't have to pay a poll tax or any of that kind of stuff anymore. So, you know, we've got a lot of reasons to get out and register. So, so that's exciting.
And I'll say it again, there's really no excuse not to vote.
I don't think so, but I'm city clerk, so.
Well, it's a biased opinion on my side, because even as you were saying, as far as the history, my grandfather, my father's father, was a slave. And so when he passed at 104, 1964, and he never got the chance to vote. Just wow. Yeah. Like you said, there was so many hoops, there was so many things that he had to do
in order to try, and he still was not able to.
Exactly.
Right.
It's amazing. And even now, you know, as you're listing different things, it's almost a crime for a person not to vote.
It's not technically a crime. We don't want to make it seem that way, but it is a shame if folks don't take that opportunity. But there's still a lot of myths out there as to, do I have the right to vote? One of the ones I get asked a lot is if someone has been convicted of a crime, say a felony conviction, and they think that they don't have the right to vote. Now, in Michigan, that is not true. If you have served your time and you no longer are incarcerated, you can register and vote in an election. Some other states, they have laws that prohibit that, or you have to fight to get your voting rights reinstated. But in Michigan, that's not the case. So if you have already served your time and you're no longer incarcerated, you need to make sure that you check your voter registration status. And if you are not currently registered, get out there and register to vote. Again, there's no reason that you shouldn't, and you have every right to do that.
Wow. And like you're saying, just trying to dispel some of the myths that are out there, and that's a big one.
That is a very big one. I get asked that a lot from a lot of different people. So I have to make sure that I put that one out there quite frequently, because you know, people know individuals and they can just ask them, are you registered to vote? And often they might say, well, no, I can't. And so that's an opportunity for, you know, the public to educate people that they know, to let them know, no, you can register to vote. City clerk told me.
That's true.
So
what now? Polls open 7 a.m.
7 a.m. on November the 6th. The polls are open. They close at 8 p.m. If you are in line at 8 p.m., you'll still be allowed to vote, so you don't have to worry about that. But you have to be in line at 8 o'clock. You can't walk up at 8:01, okay, and try to hurry and get into the line, because most often those election workers at 8 o'clock, they go and they stand in line, and they're the last person. So if you try to sneak in behind them, they're going to know. So they'll know who the last person in line is, because it'll be them. So absentee ballots.
Yes.
We have a lot of people who need absentee ballots, and there's still plenty of time to get absentee ballots, because we haven't even gotten our ballots. They haven't even come back from the printer yet. So we haven't mailed those absentee ballots out. But we will be mailing those applications out soon. If you need an absentee ballot, you can call the local clerk's office. You just call 456-3010 if you're in Grand Rapids. And you can request what we call an application for an absentee ballot. And it's this postcard that you get in the mail. We'll mail it to you. You complete it. You have to
close-up of that. Okay.
Hold that up. You have to complete this application. You have to designate what your reason is, and there are several reasons that you can select. The first, which is the easiest, if you're over 60, that's the only reason you need. So you don't have to check anything else. If you're physically unable to get to the polls on election day, that might be one of the reasons. If you are one of my election workers and you're appointed to work, that could be a reason that you might need an absentee ballot. If you expect to be away from your home the whole time during the polls while they're opened, if you can't attend, yes, you'll be out of town.
Yes, yes.
If you cannot attend because of the tenets of your religion, you can request an absentee ballot. And if you are, now I want to make this one clear, if you can't go to the polls because you're confined to jail awaiting arraignment or trial, you can get an absentee ballot. Not if you've been convicted, okay, and you're in jail, but if you are awaiting, okay, because we're innocent until proven guilty. So if you're awaiting that period, you can get an absentee ballot, but you have to know where you are in that status. So, you know, that's another one of those questions that people don't always understand. Can they get an absentee ballot or can they not? So you can get those absentee applications. We've got plenty of time right now. You can call us now and let us know that you need one. You could email us and let us know that you're going to need an absentee ballot. That's fine, and we will mail you this application that you have to fill out and send back to us. You have to sign it, and then after that, we mail you the ballot. So it's kind of a two-step process to get an absentee ballot, and that's everywhere. That's not just here in Grand Rapids, but you do have an application to complete, and then we mail the ballot. And so the last day to request an absentee ballot be mailed to you is November the 3rd. So we've got a good while yet. But I'd encourage folks, if you know already that you need an absentee ballot, or you know someone who meets these qualifications, and maybe they do not, you know, if they have difficulty standing in a long line because of a physical disability, or if you're over 60, that's the only reason you need. You don't have to tell us any other reason. So if you don't want to wait in those lines, because there will be lines on the presidential election, you can request an absentee ballot, and you don't have to worry about those long lines on election day. So,
and typically, the presidential years, the numbers do go up.
Absolutely, the numbers go up. There will be lines. I promise you, there will be lines on election day. We're going to do everything we can do to make sure that we run those elections efficiently. However, when you have that many people, we've got 131,000 registered voters in the city of Grand Rapids. So, you know, we're planning a big party on that day for lots of people to come vote, and so there will be some lines. While the polls are open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m., you know, we've got peak times where people come out first thing in the morning, over their lunch hour or after work. Those are our peak times. So you're more likely to find lines during those times. But certainly there's options with the absentee voting if you qualify. And, you know, just try to plan your day accordingly.
Then and I'm just, wow, a number of questions are running through my mind because, like I said, it's just, it's really, the whole process is not hard at all.
No,
it's very easy and it has been simplified.
Yes. I think the most challenging thing to voters is there's a lot on the ballot, and sometimes that can be overwhelming. And there's just so much to think about, and you don't always know what to expect. And there's ways that you can get a copy of your sample ballot.
Okay.
If you want to go online, or you know somebody who's computer savvy and they can print out a copy of your ballot so you can study. You want to do your homework. This is going to be a long ballot. It's going to be 2 pages long. If you live in the city of Grand Rapids, you're going to have you'll have 6 statewide proposal questions on the ballot, and those can sometimes be a little complex to understand. And there are 2 local questions on the ballot. So that's 8 proposals that you're going to have to figure out what that's all about and make a decision. Not to mention all the different candidates that are on the ballot, to do your homework and study what are their platforms on the topics that are important to you. The judges. It's so important for us to know what is it these judges stand for, and what are, what kind of judge are they. We don't think about that often, but they're elected, and so it's important for us to think about the judicial candidates who are on the ballot and who we want to support. This election, for the first time, we have our school board candidates, our local school board. They've moved from May to November, so we don't want them to get lost in this sea of all of these, federal candidates and statewide candidates. We've got our local Grand Rapids Public Schools candidates on the ballot.
And so that's a first.
This is the first time we've had that.
First time, yes.
So again, you don't want to miss, educating yourself about those candidates. So, if you can go online, or you can talk to someone who has access to the internet, it's very convenient. You go online to www.michigan.gov/vote. Okay? And you'll put in your information, your specific information, and not only will it tell you where you vote, what precinct you vote at. There's a map on there that will show you where your precinct is located. And then there's also a spot where you can click and a copy of your ballot, of your specific ballot for your precinct, because all ballot styles are not the same. The folks that you vote for say, county commissioner, might not be the same as who's on my ballot for county commission. While we may have the same people for president on our ballot, we may not have some of those local things on the ballot.
Even to
state rep.
Exactly. This is a change for me. That all these years I've been in the 75th district. Now I'm in the 76th district.
Exactly. That's a big local race in Grand Rapids this year. It's been elevated. As the state rep districts may not have always been such a high profile race compared to some of the national races, but certainly it is a much more high profile this year. So you're going to want to know, am I in the 75th district or the 76th district? And if I am, who's on my ballot? So you want to, get a copy of your ballot so you can study it. One of the other things people want to know is, can I bring my, my cheat sheet, if you will, or I call them my love notes, into the booth with me? Yeah, you can. So bring in the list of the candidates that you want to support. Do your homework in advance, so when you go in the booth and you get your ballot, you can just go through that ballot quickly and not be surprised at, oh my gosh, I don't know what this proposal means, because we don't have our teachers in there, and when you're sitting at the booth and say, excuse me, could you explain this to me? The workers can't do that. They can read you the proposals. And if you don't know what that means, unfortunately, they can't explain to you. They can read it to you again, but if you already read it once, them reading it to you again isn't really going to change, your comprehension of what does this really mean if I vote yes or no. So you got to do that homework in advance. And that's going to be really important, because it is a long ballot, and there's a lot of things for us to consider. And you don't want to be surprised. You don't want to get there on election day and say, oh, I don't even know who these people are. And we want to be educated voters. We want to be in the know and make sure that we cast our vote, and it's people that we want to be our local leaders and our national leaders. So I would encourage, be prepared, get your love notes together, and do your homework, so when you go It'll also speed up our lines, you know.
Yeah.
So folks aren't in there, you know,
Right.
scratching their head on
And
who am I
don't
going
be
to vote for.
intimidated. You know, if there's a long line, don't be intimidated.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Definitely, don't be intimidated. So, yeah, that's a really important because of that long ballot. It's a double-sided ballot, and so folks, do your homework, ask questions. If you don't know what these proposals mean, I'm sure there are going to be a lot of forums out there, different community organizations that are going to do some forums in a nonpartisan way to help explain these things. So, you know, take advantage of those opportunities when these groups hold these kind of events to educate yourself, and also online at that website that I did mention before,
Right.
there is some links to different candidates' websites, as well as to some other nonpartisan websites that explain some of the proposals. So take advantage of all those resources that are out there to do your homework, or ask one of your high school kids to make that be their homework, and then they can tell you, educate you on all that stuff. If you don't have access to a computer, you might have access to a teenager. So if they can't vote, they can help you figure this stuff out.
Right, right. Well, wow, it's so crucial, it's so important. Like you're saying, just exercising that right to vote. Some say, well, I'm not a multimillionaire, millionaire, but you still have power because you have the vote.
Absolutely.
And your vote is power.
It absolutely is power.
Wow. Well, I appreciate you coming and just sharing with us. And you know, I know you had a lot more, but you know what they say, time flies when you're having fun. Because just being educated about what's happening or what will take place, and those dates, October the 9th, don't forget October the 9th is the last drop down day to register, right?
That's correct.
Okay, but you could still get a absentee ballot up to November the 3rd.
November the 3rd is the last day we can mail one out to you. If you still need one after that day,
yes,
you have to come down to the clerk's office, and you're going to have to do it right there in your local clerk's office. So on that Monday before the election, you have until 4 o'clock to get that absentee ballot. So that's not your last opportunity, but on the 5th of November, 4 o'clock, that's it.
All right.
So
616-456-3010 is the city clerk's number.
And if you
Did I get that right?
You had that very good. If you have other questions, if you know, if in this conversation something else came up that you wanted to know about, feel free to give our office a call or go to the clerk's website. We may have the answer there for you.
And the website?
Well, the city clerk's website is www.grcity.us, and then you can hit the / and clerk, and that goes right to the city clerk's page. And if you want to get that copy or see where do I vote, or get a copy of your ballot, www.michigan.gov/vote.
Wow. Vote, vote, vote. We have been with the City Clerk of Grand Rapids, Lauri Parks. I appreciate her. I thank God for you. I pray for you. I pray hard for you. And hey, I hope that you learned something on today. God bless you. Reverend Robert D. This has been In a Vision.